everybody that's been listening to these teaching tapes. My name's Jeff Watson, and I'm just doing these things before my book is released, the book on supernatural increase. It's going to be released soon, and in the process of doing it, as well as I have a workbook. And the workbook will be asking questions. You'll read the information and insight. The workbook's pretty exciting because it's impartation and revelation. One part is impartation, where there's an exchange, where you receive something, and then the second part is revelation. And I want you guys to get this book and the booklet and meditate on these things that God really wants to bring in our life. So in conclusion of the book and the workbook, my desire is that everybody would have a blessed life, that they would experience the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. There's a question, and I've heard this, and I'm not quite sure who did it. I'll have to look it up, but I just kind of heard it this morning. Will the Lamb receive his reward for his suffering? Jesus died so you could have an abundant life, a blessed life, and do you have that? And is he going to receive the reward for suffering? His reward is us, of course, being in heaven with him, but having a heaven inside of us and living the life that God has wanting us to live. And that God would make millionaires and billionaires just from these teachings. And that you would have it, obviously not be a selfish matter, but you'd have it for the kingdom and for your children's children, that you'd advance the kingdom, you would have the money to do what God's called you to do, and that you would also be a good giver. And then the second, this little third little point is, are you going to be a person that tries to outgive God? And anyone that sets their desires that way to try to outgive God has become wealthy. Try to outgive God, he keeps giving it back more than you can handle. You can't outgive him. Then you find yourself making a living by giving. He put me steward over his finances, and when I give according to what he wants me to give, where it goes, not just the church, but the church is the primary source. Give where you're being fed, but also as God puts extra money with you, what is this for? And you take care of your metron first, you take everything you're responsible for, and then give beyond that. So you can't outgive him, and I made a choice to follow him no matter what it cost me. And it cost me everything. It didn't cost my life, but it cost me everything. And we don't need to die for Jesus, we need to live for him. But it cost me everything, but he has promised, and he's returned 100-fold in his word in Matthew 19. So I just want to pray a blessing over you, that you would have an impartation and a revelation of the wealth of heaven that God already has for you in this season of your life. I ask that everyone hears this would be blessed. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord lift up his face upon you, be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you, give you peace. And in every place that you have ashes, they'd be turned into beauty. And that God would do it. He'd do it supernaturally. You don't need your ashes turned to beauty by your works. You need it done by what he already did. It's called the finished work. It's finished. He sat down because his work was done, and he puts that work inside of you, and that it produces a harvest, and that you're fruitful every month. So be blessed.